Welcome back, everybody. Is that your first jam in 2 years?
That's my first jam since I was last here.
Wow. Well, it doesn't show. It doesn't show.
You, man.
Look, it's the
Thank
wonderful
you.
Paul Hindmarsh, friend of Andertons, longtime friend of Andertons, and chief, operating officer of demonstrations, or whatever his title is, for Line 6.
It's something like that, yeah. Something long-winded.
Something long-winded in an American sound.
Yeah. No, it's a pleasure to be back. This is it's a bit overwhelming, to be honest. It is literally like 2 years. I've been out with the wife, I've been out with the dog, occasionally been to a restaurant, but actually being around people and chatting.
I think it freaks me out. It doesn't
weird.
Seem like it's been 2 years since we've seen you, but
No,
I'm guessing it. What was the last thing we did? Must have been like HX Stomp or something?
I think we did. Yeah, we did Pod Go. I think we did that virtually, and we did HX. Yeah, we'd done HX Stomp XL. Maybe the last time I was here was HX Stomp.
Of course, because we did a load of virtual stuff, didn't we? Hey,
yes,
look,
it must be like 2.5 years.
So Paul, if you don't know, we've known for a long time. He's a wonderful, wonderful guitar player, and is part of the Line 6 team, specifically on the sort of the guitar side of things, helping them create new products and helping them do demonstrations, and really I think what's cool is he's a proper guitar player working in that sort of business and sort of able to sort of go, this is what we like. And that leads me nicely, I think, onto Catalyst, which is a guitar amplifier that sits in a sort of a price point in an area of the market that's been heavily dominated by a different brand for the last 5 or 6 years. Because, we might as well elephant in the room. Obviously, everyone will know of Boss Katana. It's been very, very popular. And Katana, I think, is an interesting proposition because whilst other brands have gone, it's all about the spec. Got to have more spec, more effects, more Wi-Fi, more MIDI, more everything. Katana's sort of gone, I don't think that's what guitarists necessarily all want. Some of you will, but most of you probably just want a simple amp that you can plug into that sounds good and doesn't cost too much money. So Line 6, have essentially gone, okay, well, so it's not Spider then, because Spider had gone down that kind of super crazy mega spec route.
Yep.
It's Catalyst, which is much simpler to use, much better sounding.
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's what everybody.
Affordable.
It's what everybody wants. What everybody seems to be sort of geared towards. I mean, the other thing is that we haven't. It's not a new thing for Line 6 doing like a simple amp like this. I mean, that's kind of where we started off from doing that sort of thing. I had flex tone, had dual reverb. They're all kind of fairly straightforward. And then as the amount of models increased and all these different things that people want to do with gear, and eventually you end up putting a lot of stuff into an amp. And I think the market's now, well, not now already, but the market's ready to go back to that sort of simpler sort of thing. And it's great that we're in the game.
I immediately enjoy using this amplifier. So we've got 3 amplifiers here, and this is currently the whole Catalyst range. So we've got a 60 watt with a 112, 100 watt with a 112 but in a bigger enclosure, and a 200 watt 212. Paul's using the 11200 and I'm using the 11260. They each feature, I think, the same basic panel, right?
All identical, yeah. And so it's only the power thing, yeah. Slightly different MIDI features on the 60 in terms of it doesn't have a MIDI on there, but it's USB MIDI.
Okay,
but that's it.
And so essentially, they all use these 8 different guitar amp tones. They're all ground up Line 6 developed guitar amp tones. You've got some cool features with boosts and effects and stuff that we'll get into. As you'd expect, you can store you can edit, dial something in and then store it in how many different memory locations were there?
So really, it's a 2-channel amp. It's a two-channel amp, exactly like you say, like nice and simple and straightforward. But if you do want to access the extra things, you actually have 6 different banks of 2 channels. So there's 12.
Cool.
If you need them, there's 12 sounds. There's 12 sounds in there. But
I like that. Well, look, why don't you just start going through? We've got tons of guitars here, so we can use this guitar for maybe cleaner, snappier tones, and we've got other guitars we can use for heavier tones. But yeah, clean, boutique, chime, crunch, dynamic, and high gain. No insane anymore, which is a relief, right? I think there's enough insanity in the world.
I don't know. I think people still like the insane sound.
So you mentioned that these were not. You haven't tried to sort of copy other amp designs.
They're not based on anything like that. Obviously, we have our HX sound design team who came up with Helix and with HX Stomp and Helix Native, all of those different things. And what they have been doing, but we have a history of doing this as well, is actually creating our own amp model as well. Even going back to Pod version 2, there was things like Chemical X and different model, different amps that they were mixing and matching different parts from different amps and stuff. So it's not always been about copying other companies. Yeah. And then as that sort of progressed, and now we have people like Ben Adrian and Sam stuff in the sound design team, and they're actually fully capable of making their own amp, with a soldering iron and components, and they're also doing that digitally, but they're also completely capable of actually making some great sounding amps themselves. So rather than copy another manufacturer's amp, these guys are kind of, making recreations of amps that they've actually created in real life as well. So what we're saying is it's 6 original amp designs. It's not models. It's 6 original amp designs.
We won't do the effects in this section. We'll just literally obviously reverb is one of the effects that you will hear. We probably will talk about the boost thing, but can you dial up a clean tone then and just give us some, interesting, right. Just for those eagle-eyed amongst you, I do have a pedal board at my feet, although in that first jam I didn't use any pedals. But the idea is I'm going to show you kind of how does it sound if you want to use it with pedals. Paul, though, doesn't have any pedals at his feet. He has the little 2-button Catalyst foot switch that'll do the A and the B thing, but everything you hear that Paul plays will just be from his fingers and from the amplifier.
Holy moly. Incidentally, the Catalyst is an optional foot switch for that as well, so they should be in this amps. So, and I've done, literally pulled these amps out of the box. Well, again, you can pull them out.
We had them delivered from the factory yesterday.
I've not done anything to this whatsoever, so let's hope. So all I've done here is just move this over to the clean sound, which is a model called Clarity. Clarity. Nice clean sound. The idea is it's not going to give you any sort of breakup until you're right at the very end of the sort of
I really like, I don't know whether YouTube will capture this, but in the room, the bigger cabinet, the extra power, it's really sounding like like you get with those like a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, where you get that sense of like, oh yeah, there's some bottom end in here, isn't it? And it's big and it's got some headroom. It's got that kind of a vibe to it.
Yeah, totally. And it's a top end as what I'm noticing. It's a very natural high end. Certainly when you're in the room with it, that's the thing that I really like in this. So so that's Clarity.
Sounds great.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, we can go through the amps and then do the boosts, or we could do the boosts at the same time as the amps. Which way do you want to do it?
The boost is you can see hopefully on the camera we've got looking on the overhead here. It is its own separate level control with the on-off here. But you were saying it's quite clever. So whereas other amps, you might have a choice of boosts, and it's up to you to decide which boost you match with this amplifier.
Yep.
Line 6 have kind of taken it a slight step further than that, right?
We said no. We know the best boost for that amplifier.
Yeah. When it's not always. Sometimes it's a boost like a pedal boost. Sometimes it's a boost like a boosted channel within the amplifier.
Absolutely, yeah. So it actually reconfigures the DSP inside there for each different.
Well,
so some of them have got Helix models, of different boost pedals, and some of them, like you say, reconfigure the EQ section and stuff, and add like different mods into there as well. So
let's do that one at a time then. So you heard clean with no boost. Let's hear clean with boost.
So with boost, this is adding a tube gain stage. I should say a DSP tube. So that's on halfway there.
So the more you wind it in, a bit more overdrive it. Sounds great.
Yeah.
And at the moment,
it's almost like a different amp there, isn't it? At that point, so you've got 6 amp sounds and then modifications.
I've got some questions about foot switching, but I'm going to ask you at the end because it kind of applies to everything. So let's try the boutique one, which is the next one along.
So this is a model called Aristocrat, which was we did a the guys in there did the litigator model, which was like sort of the high end. It's in Helix.
Okay.
It's based on it was one of the later, sort of came with a later update. It was a really popular model for them.
Litigator.
Litigator, yeah, which is for the high end, the rich, highly paid lawyers.
lawyers.
I think that's where it came from. So this is a variation of that, really.
Have we got all sorts of references to sort of doctors, dentists, and lawyers within the? Have we got a sort of a
not yet
a wisdom tooth removal amplifier and?
Not yet. We're always looking for models. We're always looking for names. So it's and I haven't so far. All I've done is turn because what's really cool about this is that on a lot of amps that would have a lot of features, and when you change the amp, a lot of different things would change, and effects might change, and all these different things. That's not what's happening here. Right. So as you move through those amp models,
everything stays the same.
As those amp designs, I should say, as you move through them, you're really just hearing the amp itself change. And I'm gonna. We'll start it off in A minor, so I'm just stuck in A minor now.
It's all good to me. So it's that edge of breakup kind of boutique-y little amplifier. I get it. Sounds great.
Yeah. So if I add the boost to that, what we're should have there would be the kinky boost, which came from Helix Helix as well, because these are they're either the Helix, all HX Helix quality models and effects. Some crazy pitch effects going on there.
No, that sounds great.
So that's like the kinky boost on there.
I'm guessing Chime now, many times used name to refer to like an AC style tone.
Like EL84, EL84 kind of out on there.
It's cleaner than I thought it would be, which is nice. That kind of
again, I haven't changed any of the sounds there, so I could add some gain to that a little bit bass there. Sorry.
Like it.
I think that sounds great.
Does sound good.
Really
does sound good.
Obviously, really responsive to how hard you hit this line. And then if I put the boost onto that, that's a germanium style boost to that, which is again sort of a model of one of the Helix models. So you hear a little bit of noise on there. So I can change that on it because we have a noise gain there. So
I like noise. It's like that's what noise exists. What it's anyway.
Well, you can have noise. Do you want noise? I don't want noise right now.
Do you know what I like? Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of when Universal Audio released their Aux box, and they came at the whole speaker emulation thing very differently to everyone else with IRs. So they didn't go, here's like a million cabinets and you can put the microphone wherever you want and you can adjust, you can choose different rooms and all that kind of stuff. They just sort of went, no, here's the best one. Like if you just want that style of cab, here's the best setting. You can't mess around with it. And I kind of feel it's almost like that's the sort of a similar thinking behind the boost thing. It's like, there are other amps that go, here's loads of different options for you, and you can say, or you can go, no, here's just the best one.
Yeah.
And I guess different people have different thoughts about that, but I like it. Again, if you like amps that are simple to use and you just want to press a button and go, oh yeah, that's a good tone.
Yeah.
It's just easy to do.
Absolutely,
Right?
that was the whole thing behind these amps. It was just simple to use, dual channel amplifier, nice bit of reverb on it, a boost, switch between two sounds, switch between clean sound and overdrive sound, or whatever, And, but yeah, absolutely very simple to use.
So now we're moving into some slightly more driven territory with crunch mode next. Let's have a little Lisione.
So this is a model called Voltage. Which is like kind of British high gainy sounds. I'm just gonna stick in here. I'm struggling for things to play. I'll just play the same thing.
It's fine.
But I've been doing that for like 12 years.
It's all good.
Coming down.
Just change the key, go to B, and then it'll just play everything the same. But
so obviously no effects have been changed there or anything either, and I haven't done anything with the EQ. As with all Line 6 EQs, the EQ will change, so the bass control will not be doing the same thing on the Chime sound that it is on the Oblivion sound, which we're getting to soon.
Like almost the A-team. One of the things I did want to ask, we're regularly hitting kind of 95 dB on our dB meter in the corner there. So, and relatively speaking, that's quite loud, sort of small gigging kind of volumey type level. Obviously with the technology in this kind of amplifier, it's not like a valve amplifier where it's got to be loud to sound good. Can we just have what's it like in its crazy low mode? Just, lots of gain, but really quiet, just as a sort of a...
Okay, yeah, so that does bring us to another thing that we should maybe talk about. We have a power sort of attenuator on the back there as well, with a rather cool little light on there that changes how brightly it glows depending on the power, but you can put it in the mute. So if you want to sort of late night practice or anything like that, if you want to do recording, if you want to do recording with the DI output or USB or anything like that, you can have that in mute. Or if you want to have it on half a watt, it'll go up to that, and then it'll go up to half power, depending on half power for each amp, and then it'll go into full power as well. And it actually uses clever sort of EQ and stuff to actually keep it so it sounds the same at all levels as well. So if you've got a great sound at the gig at 100 watt, and you go back to home, and you should be able to get it down to half a watt or half power and get the same kind.
Okay, well let's.
And I'm not actually sure what these are on, to be honest.
All right. That's a good point. I would assume on its loudest mode, it's pretty loud at the moment.
So where is it? Yeah, so that's on the. That is
okay.
On, it is,
so
it
we
is
just
loud,
strum a chord, and we'll just get an idea, like a big A chunky fat chord. So we're at sort of 90, 92 dB, something like that. And so if you drop it right down.
Yeah, where is it?
Is that its lowest? That's half, right?
And then we should have half a watt.
This is the one I'm
My
most
memory's not
interested
very good
in.
for going.
Yeah, where is
it?
it?
Wrong place every single time. Yeah, try and remember, Paul, where it is. And then that's half a watt.
Okay. See, that's great, because hopefully you can visibly see that now. That barely gets above talking level. In fact, I am currently talking louder than that is in half a watt mode.
Yeah, and that's
so that's great.
That's really, and it sounds the same, doesn't it? That's certainly to my ears.
I think you inevitably lose a slight sense of how much air is being moved by the speaker, but the basic tonality of it is the same.
Yeah, so we've got all that as well. So you could do that on the volume control, the master volume control there as well. But it would obviously work slightly different from actually using the power attenuator there as well.
Well, I'm sorry to sort of that slight sort of detour down that little cul-de-sac. So let's go back to, where did we get to? We were going to do
we're on
crunch
and
with boost.
Voltage. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that. So I'm going to switch the boost in now. The boost on this is a classic 80s modification that was made to sort of British amplifiers, as far as I'm aware. So that's adding an extra tube gain stage to it, yeah.
There's a great video watching Dave Friedman talking about all the Marshall amplifiers that he's modded over the years, and
it's great.
You know, that's I get it. That's exactly that kind of vibe of that hot rodded old, you know, British valve amplifier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's the crunch voltage model. So if we went on now to dynamic. Now dynamic is an interesting amp. If anybody's watched any of the videos that Ben's done, this is based on a Ben had it as a trainer amp that he modified. He'd had it for years and years and years, and he'd done loads of modifications over the years, and it came to a point where we wanted to create some more models, and they actually decided to use his amp because it sounded so great.
He's another Line 6 guy.
Yeah, he's the sound. He's the sort of head of the sound design.
I don't think I've met Ben.
Team. He's in a bunch of different videos, especially recently. But yeah, great guy, super talented. But it's basically his amplifier. It appeared first of all in Helix as a cartographer, super popular model, and then now this is a variation of that. So this is called kinetic.
And what's the dynamic would infer that it's going to do some great range of sort of clean to driven, depending on how you pick and how much. Just
meant
volume.
To be extra sort of responsive as well, because I think they all kind of have that anyway. But yeah, and I'm just gonna play the same kind of thing again. Not because I
don't apologise.
Not because I haven't got any.
It's good.
Not because I haven't got any licks. I'm doing it deliberately. So that you can tell the difference. The difference in the models.
It has got a different characteristic, that hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Keep playing a second, just. Much more mid-range, sort of wanting to go into that natural feedback. More. But okay, absolutely. Cool. So and then that with boost.
so with the boost on this, again, it's another gain stage, and it reconfigures, as far as I'm aware, the EQ circuit in there to actually change the way that it responds. So it's almost like it's a variation of the amp, really. I guess you could say all of these boosts are. So that's dynamic kinetic. And then for the high
if you like Paul as a player, by the way, we'll put a link in the description below where you can go and listen to Paul's band. He's very good.
Thanks. Yeah, you can hear that same.
You know what? The 100-foot gorilla stuff it's not all the same, is it? It's sort of progressive.
The band stuff's quite different. So I hope, obviously now lockdown's out of the way, we're hoping to get back into that as well. But yeah, I mean, I've got a Facebook page and a YouTube page and everything as well, because I'm kind of, as everybody does.
That's good. Right. So this finally we're into high gain.
Yep.
So this is as dirty as it gets, is it?
Yeah, so this is Oblivion. So this is Oblivion without the boost. Let's maybe if I tune down
the obligatory drop tune. Is there a tuner built in?
Of course there is, Lee.
Aha, of course there is. Why they wouldn't?
So
I see the one that says tuner on it.
It's on tap tempo there. So if you hold down tap tempo, it's gonna flash and
it mutes the amp as well?
It will do, yeah.
I like it.
Do we need a tuner demonstration?
No, only if you were trying to find the D, that was all. But if you found it, you crack on.
Let me put my microphone back on.
He smashed the place up now.
You're talking about the D again, Lee. You have to stop.
Paul is searching for the D. I mean, not that needs boosting, but what does the boost do?
So the boost on this one might be a sort of interesting one as well. So the boost adds a classic OD pedal to that. Now, a lot of players who use this kind of amp wouldn't use the OD pedal it's not that you get to the end of the gain on any of these amps and then decide you want more drive, so you add the boost. It's actually reconfiguring the amp sort of all the way through. So you might find that you want that sound, but you actually want to turn the gain down and add the boost. It's going to be a different sort of sound. But if I was to add it straight on. So, more gain than you were ever going to need.
Congratulations. I liked it. I like the basic tone without the boost more, I think.
Yeah, but that was probably just a bit too much gain for anybody. But if I was to turn the actual gain down, maybe.
I tell you, it's come a long way from Insane on Spider 1.
There's no problem with Insane. So we stay on the same model. I've turned the gain right down now.
I see what you mean.
Different tonality there. Even though it's got less drive than I had without the boost on, it's a different sort of sound.
So, we're going to get to the effects in a second, but I do want to talk about the switching first. Obviously, I've got this sense of channel A and B, and as you said, there's an optional foot switch that you can buy for it to do that.
Yep.
And then you've got 6 banks of that, so 12 preset tones.
Yep.
If you wanted to switch things like the boost in and out, or maybe change different effects that might be on, is the only way to do that to sort of preset your overall tone within one of those 12 banks, or have you got to go down like the MIDI route to do that kind of switching?
So, well, with MIDI you can do anything. You can switch any of the features. So you've got instant access to all of the parameters for the delays and for the reverbs. You can switch the reverbs. You can jump in any of those different presets. Foot switch wise, you've got channel and you've got effect. But what we haven't talked about yet is there is an editor for this as well. Now, loads of people. I've barely used the editor with these. I'm just kind of plugging in and playing and enjoying playing. With the Catalyst Edit app, which is it'll work on iPhone, it's on iOS, it's on Android, and it's on Mac or PC. You can actually go in and reconfigure the foot switch in there as well. So that doesn't have to be effect on off. So it can be channel change, or it can switch the reverb. It can switch in the boost. It can switch in any combination of those things as well. So effect basically can control two different things.
Are there any 3-button foot switches or 4-button foot switches? Just a 2-button.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any.
No, sure. So look, the editor, if we've not talked about at all, it's not got Bluetooth in it, so you've got to have the cable. And if you want to connect your iPhone or your iPad to it, you've got to get the little camera connection cable. It goes from like the big old-fashioned USB socket to a lightning connector.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some really good stuff in the edit stuff as well. So, I mean, we've talked about all those different amps there as well. If you remember on Helix, you can actually go in and you can change the sag and the hum. You can actually do that on here as well.
Right.
As long as once you've got that editor open. So even if you end up with one of these and you're the sort of player who's just like, I just want to dual channel amplifier. Maybe you want it even simpler than that. Maybe you don't want dual channel because you've got a manual control on there as well. So manual just means that, because at the moment we don't. The controls are there, but we don't really know what's saved beneath that. But in manual mode, you're looking at exactly like an original.
No, I think you've done that really well on here, and I think in fairness, Katana did that well as well, which was this idea of going, if you don't want to use the editor, you will still get like 95% of the joy of using this amplifier.
Yeah.
And it's not like other brands where it's like, if you don't use the editor, you just, you can't change hardly anything on the amplifier. So very, very, very cool from that perspective. MIDI-wise, I kind of feel like that'll be an interesting one there because there's not a lot of affordable MIDI pedals out there. So, I can't see somebody paying like $250 for the amp and then paying $250 to go and buy a MIDI foot controller for it as well. But I wonder if that's something that we need to investigate, sort of.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because there's already been so much excitement about these amps that, I genuinely, I think I'm going to use the 200 for all my stuff from now on. It's for, anything where I need to be loud. But it's actually just not an expensive. It's not an expensive amp, so it will do all the MIDI stuff. Already I'm seeing people online who are doing things with, HX Stomp XL and things. Yeah. So you can get something like that and you can run that into the effects loop of it and you can also run the MIDI out into this.
I hadn't thought
and
of
you
that.
could control all of those sounds, but it's kind of interesting. It's interesting to see, because it's aimed, either at a... It could be aimed at a bunch of different people. It could be aimed at an entry-level player. It could be aimed at price-wise and everything. It's either it could be aimed at an entry-level player. It could be aimed at somebody who's just getting out and going to do their first gigs. But the flip side of that is the interest that we're getting from it already is for people with other Line 6 gear, other modelers wanting to use it as a power amp, wanting to use it as a
I think that's a great shout.
So
I hadn't thought about that. There's me thinking that it's just you're starting out and you're buying this and then you've just got to go and buy a MIDI foot controller. But of course, as you're absolutely say, if you've got an HX already, an HX Stomp or HX Effects already, that's got full MIDI on it. Clever. All right. So, but bear in mind, I will just caveat that by saying, if MIDI is not your thing, then the 2-button foot switch is the only other alternative at the moment. Let's go into effects. And bear with us, we're nearly at the end of the demo. We're not going to go deep dive. So as Paul was saying, via the editor, you've got dozens and dozens of parameters for you to be able to adjust everything to do with the amps and the all the delays and modulations, etc., etc. Without the editor, your options here are to choose. You've always got reverb on, but the effects side of it you choose. Do you want it to be delay, modulation, or pitch? And within each of those, you have 6 different types of effect. And then on the amplifier, you've got the sense of a tap button to control any time element to that, and just an amount control. So I would suggest that, again, it's another one of those things that probably 75–80% of you are just going to go, that's fine, don't need to deep dive any more than that. And the tweakers amongst you will deep dive via the editor. So should we just get, we won't go mad, let's just get like a couple of different delays, a couple of different modulations, and there's a couple of funky pitch ones that are interesting. So let's just do some.
So there's 18 different effects altogether. You're right, reverb is on there. Reverb has its own control and will always be a reverb control, but it'll be one of 6 types of reverb. So we could just jump in now and maybe switch those off. So you've got on-off switches there. So let me just dial in. So if I hold this down, we'll see it start to dim. And then the selector now, it's not choosing amps, it's now choosing different types of reverb. So
I see. So you're right.
So now you're going through.
Hopefully you can see this little card this will come on top of every amplifier. So if you want a quick reference, you just flip it over and you can see this. So you've got spring, hall, chamber, plate, shimmer, and modulate. So you said as well, all the effects in here are HX powered, basically.
Yeah, the same things you find in a Helix. And
again, is nuts, right? Because you're talking about effects units that, if my memory serves me well, are more expensive than any of these amplifiers, and you've got that kind of tech built into the amplifier.
Yeah. Things like the phase. So you've got phase. I will maybe stick with the reverbs for now, I guess. But when we go on to the modulations, the phaser, the flanger, the univibe, they're all basically you find them in HX pedals.
Okay.
So if I stick with the. So that would be the spring reverb. play. Things like the shimmer.
Can never have too much reverb, right, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
so
let's
let me get
try some. Yeah, let's go normal.
For a normal one. Turn that down. And also from the amp, you can choose whether you want that pre or post.
You mentioned that before, didn't you? So all the effects you can, and is that per kind of patch you can choose to have effects pre or post?
Yeah, it would save that whether you want your delay or your modulations, wherever you want to do that.
So that, and you just, do that. If you're not sure what we're talking about there, that's about. Imagine, do you want the effect to be like a pedal that you've got in the front of the amplifier, or do you want the pedal to be an effect that's going to be in the effects loop, and you get to decide per patch where you want to place the effect, which is very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you can do that all from the amp as well. You don't need the edit software to do that. So that's basically done by holding down. If you want to pre or post, you hold down the reverb button before 12 o'clock. It's going to be pre. After 12 o'clock, it's going to be post, and that's cool. The same on the effect. And then you can also access some other different features. I'll quickly jump into. So we had the noise gate before. If you hold down the boost button, you end up with a noise gate. If you hold down the manual, you actually get the access to the extra banks of sounds there as well. So there is a little bit of holding buttons down. Or you use your iPad, depending on what type of player you want.
So come on, let's just get a couple of delays, a couple of modulations, and a couple of pitches just to see. Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure I should say as well, if you want to see like every single one of these effects demoed, again, I went over to the Line 6 website, and I'm sure one of the chaps there will be doing that.
Okay, so I've had the delay on there, so I'm going to press the delay button, and then if I hold that down, again, same process as we had before. That's going to dim, and then when I go through here. Tape echo for the analog delay. Yeah, and dual delay. Two different delays. Together. And then over we have the dynamic duck delay. So it keeps it nice and clean. So when you're playing, it only comes up, it pokes its head out at the very end there. So if I want to change those, I can press the tap button,
and it goes to blue.
Yeah, and as we all know,
blue is modulation. Absolutely.
Yes, everybody,
the Helix indoctrination.
After about 6 years of just coming here and saying modulation's blue, finally got it. So and then you have all of your. For this one, I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to put that into a post position. So now I'm going to choose the phaser. Over to the flanger.
Yes.
We have things like the Univibe. So last one would be rotary. Okay, yeah.
You'll notice, guys, as well, that what the amp is doing is once you've stopped editing and you don't need to do anything, it just will go back into its normal play mode, which is kind of cool as well.
Yeah, it's because we're sitting talking about the feature. Generally, you're just going to go through and go, yeah, there's phaser, there's flanger. Yeah.
So pitch, everybody's favourite effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yours definitely.
Well, I do like some pitch effect. So we have things like pitch on. those pitch effects. Then we have things at the octave.
Have they?
So that's
jumped back to
Octavia.
like a pre-style effect, yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
And then the last one, then a synth
And then your
string.
last one would be synth string, yeah.
So you've got
so
everything in here for people that just want to go from like, classic AC30 with a bit of delay through to full, crazy synth, ambient, mad tones.
Yep.
That's super cool. And I like the idea, actually, I really like the idea that I can configure the foot switch to enable me to, perhaps I do just want, channel A and B and either the effect or the boost to come on and off, yeah? And you were saying before as well, there's like, boost and effects can be combined.
Yeah, so you'd have to do this in the app, but you would actually set this up to be, so that's always going to be channels, so you're always going to be toggling between two channels. But this could be a boost foot switch, it could be a reverb foot switch, it could be an effect foot switch, or it can be any combination of those two. So
I
it
wanted
could
like
be
boost and delay to come on at the same.
Boost and delay can be the same thing. Yeah, boost
cool.
and reverb can come on at the same time. It could be reverb and delay at the same time as well. So then any combination of those two different things on that.
Okay, we're on the home straight now, everybody. As you can see, I've jumped behind just to tell you what's on the back panel, and if I don't understand anything, Paul can quickly intervene. But yes, we've got mains input and the switch over there. We've got the power attenuation, which we talked about, and actually what is kind of cool, you probably can't see this, but there's a little sort of orange light that comes up in this grill here, and the light dims as you turn the output power down. Then we've got old-fashioned USB. To connect whatever you want to connect to it.
Yeah, so I mean, sorry, I'm just going to jump, because you can use that as an interface for a computer as well. And it also has reamping on there as well, which is something that I use all the time for everything. And it just means that you can capture, via USB, you capture your left and right of your audio, actually your amp sounds, but it also means that you're capturing the sound of the guitar at the actual input jack.
I've not used it, but that's a feature from Yamaha's THR, isn't it? Which is cool, where you, as well as capturing the sound with all of your gain and effects on it, you always get 2 tracks of completely dry guitar audio to reamp if you want to.
Yeah, the beauty of having that is you can always run it out, you can always tweak settings later on, you can, if you've recorded something and you want to change it to a different amp design, you can do that as well. Or if you want to run it out into in a completely different amplifier, you can do that as well. So it's a super cool feature, but not so good if you're like me and you just never settle on something and you always want to keep
just constantly tweaking it. Okay, so MIDI in, obviously on a 5-pin DIN on here, and you mentioned one. Is it the 60 doesn't have MIDI traditional 5-pin DIN MIDI?
But it does the same things via USB.
Okay, foot switch, socket, aux in on a mini jack here, headphone output on a 1/4-inch jack. Presumably headphone output is speaker emulated, is it?
Yes.
Yep, awesome.
Yep.
Send and return effects loop, which you have a little switchy here, which is cool. Remind me again, what were the point of the 2 modes of the effects loop?
So one of them is, it depends on where your effects are positioned in the chain. The switch on there, so normally you would, if you want to plug in like a chorus pedal or another delay pedal, if you wanted more than the 6 delays on there, you would have that in the normal effects loop thing. But if you're using another modeler, if you're using the Helix and you just want to use one of these as a power amplifier for that, there's a switch there which just basically takes the input directly into the power amp stage. So
okay, and then lastly a 3-pin XLR DI out, which again I assume is speaker emulated.
Yeah, and with the app you can change all of that as well. You've got 3 different mic.
I was just about to say, can you change it in the app? But you read my mind.
Yeah, so you've got 3 different sort of speaker configurations on there, and you also have a bunch of different microphone models on there as well. So there is quite a bit of cool stuff in the app.
Custom made Catalyst 12-inch speakers in these.
Yep.
Big open back kind of design, so plenty of bass end. I think it's a nice looking, nice looking cabinet. It's difficult, I think, isn't it, with cabinet design. I think it's sort of if you're a heritage brand like Fender or Marshall, you've got a very sort of obvious visual footprint to go with. But I think if you're a brand like Line 6 or Boss or whatever that weren't making amps back in the 1960s, I think just sometimes you can get it. I mean, a good example, I think, of over the years, I think some of the Spider amps went a bit space age, didn't they, with the sort of the look they were trying to get, and then automatically you sort of go, I don't know. Whereas I quite like, you know, I like this bit of the panel here where the name is, and it's got this sort of slightly sort of salt and peppery kind of coloured grille, and it just looks. It looks quite classy. I think it's sort of decent looking amplifier.
Cool looking amplifier. And again, at a quite mad price point. You know, I think
it's crazy affordable.
I kind of keep talking about it like it's really, because it sounds so good, and because it's got HX modelling in the HX modelling and the original amp designs. I talk about it like it's like a really high end bit of gear, and it's the price point.
Yeah, I mean it's nuts, right? It's $249 for the 60. This is all English money, including VAT. So $249, $339, $439. Which again, when we talked about, you know, you just look at the price of what a Helix HX is. It's like almost as much as one of these. Great value. Pretty lightweight. Again, if you dive on over to the Andertons website for detailed specs like that, but even the big one here is a pretty simple, you know, one arm carry. It's a lot. I mean, obviously, stay tuned, because I'm sure at some point or other we'll do, you know, the 100 watt Catalyst versus 100 watt Katana, and we'll do a sort of a tone test comparison. But I mean, I don't really, you know, from Anderton's perspective, it's always been an interesting one because we don't really have a preference as to what the customer ends up buying at the end. You know, our goal, I suppose, is to make sure the customer buys the amp or the product they're going to like the best.
Of course, yeah.
But it has got a bit boring over the last 6 years of just it kind of being like, yeah, 95% of you are just going to buy a Katana. I get it. So I'm kind of excited that there is now a really viable alternative. It's the right price. It looks cool. It's the way you use it is really familiar for any kind of guitar player. Yep. And I've really enjoyed it. You said I know what I was going to do. Perhaps in the jam out at the end, maybe I'll use pedals into the front, because I was, you know, I'm sure everyone will be going, oh, can it take pedals and all that kind of stuff. But maybe we'll do that. But
for the jam out at the end, let's get Pete.
That would be a shout. Absolutely. What, to replace me, you mean?
Well, no, because I've played the same lick now for the last 45 minutes.
Well, Pete and I can jam out. That's fine by me.
Yeah, because these guys sounded great. Really good.
And you know what? In a Line 6 Absolute First, these are actually in stock, I think, when the video goes live. So none of this like, here's a product that you've got to wait 6 months for. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that our first delivery of these arrives something round about the 25th, 26th of February. Yeah. And I think maybe this video might literally come out the day before that's happening. But yeah,
it is a real first. It's a real first, isn't it?
It's brilliant, brilliantly. Well done, Line 6 logistics people. So yeah, that's it. And it's, you know, sorry if this has been a long video, but we don't get to see Paul very often, so we keep him here against his will for as long as possible.
No, it's nice to be here. It's nice to be out of the house.
But that's it. So yeah, comments below would be great to hear. What do you think? Maybe there are some Katana owners that want to comment on questions that they've got around, you know, can it do this or that or the other? Whatever. I just think it's great. I really like it. And thank you again for coming down. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we shall see you next time.